Well, hello, everybody. It's another Conversations with, and with me today is my good, wonderful friend, Richard Morchoe. Richard is from the wonderful community of West Brookfield, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
And great town.
A hot spot for a lot of things.
Oh, in the summer. With that Lake Wickabog, it's...
And great fried clams.
Oh, yeah. Howard's Drive-In.
Yeah.
They're still there, are they?
They're still there.
God, I remember them. I was up there. I got there in 1957 to Ware, and my first experience was Howard's would have been that summer, and they used to advertise on the radio station, and so that's a long time ago.
It is.
So this is going to be the third Howard or the fourth Howard.
I think it's somebody who bought it out, but
Yeah.
they still run it in a lovely
Oh
way.
yeah, it's a great place.
If you don't get the clams, and you should get the clams.
Yeah.
Get the ice cream.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great place in the summer, and of course the home of the great Salem Cross Inn.
That's a lovely place too.
I remember when I was there when it opened with the four Salem brothers.
Have you ever
And Dick Salem was a great friend of mine.
had their beef off of that big?
More times than I can.
Man, that is
That's a clock.
Melts in your mouth.
That's a clock jack, they call that thing.
Yeah.
And they weight it, and it turns it, and it's And I remember it used to be hysterical when you got to know them. There was Henry and Dick were the two brothers that were always in the restaurant. The other two ran the trucking company. But Henry and Dick were always in there. And Dick would come in and he'd move the logs, and he'd get everything set, and it'd be going good. And then Henry would come back. Who touched those logs? And he'd touch them and put them back. And then Dick would come back and move them again. And they at one time in the barn, the big barn up on the second level. I don't know if they're all still there. They had incredible. Henry used to go out every year and find these little places up in Maine and buy antiques.
Yep.
And they had a ton of they had some magnificent stuff up there.
I haven't been upstairs in forever, so
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I assume it's still there.
Yeah, but that we used to go. That would be a Saturday night at the Salem Cross Inn downstairs in the what I call the cellar behind the big fireplace.
Yeah.
They would have the roast beef going, and they just and it would just melt in your mouth good. Melt in your mouth good.
It did. It did. And I assume it's still there. You know what I used to tell people? You know they have all those steers.
Oh yeah.
Out there, and I would tell people, it's sort of like the lobster pound. You get to choose your room.
Yeah.
You have enough of a crowd.
Yeah.
Point to the one you want.
And they go.
They'll do it right now and put right in front of you.
Yeah.
They'll slaughter it
Yeah.
and dress it and everything. Is that true? I'd have people. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a sick mind, but
it was a great. I remember during the gas problem in the '70s, Dick Salem called me up. I used to do a lot of their advertising for them, and I went, we got a problem. He says, people aren't coming out of Worcester. We got to reach local people. We don't get a lot of locals. They come from Worcester. Is our big. And I said, well, and we went back and forth. We came up with an idea called Food for Thought, because he didn't want to say early bird. He thought that was below Salem Cross Inn, not to say early bird specials. So he came up with Food for Thought from 4 to 6. And I said to him, well, what you do is you take your regular menu, okay? Now, when you went in there at night for your regular menu, they got sticky buns, and you got you had the little candle, and you had all the foo-foo that went with the dinner. I said, strip it, so that they're going to get the chicken special that they get at night, and call it Food for Thought, and give them a price. But if they want the rolls, they can get them. Those are $2 more. If you want this, you could get it. It became a home run. It saved the ship during that, because people from Ware, Palmer, West Brookfield itself, the Brookfield, flocked in there because you could go in and get their regular menu, trimmed down, and afford it, and have a great night.
And it made the place not just a tourist spot.
That's right, and that Food for Thought. And I got to tell you the funniest story of all. He was whining because they used to have some great chefs there, and they had a dessert chef who could make the most delicious apple pies, real homemade, real good ones. And he said, but we can't give them away. I said, you want to increase that? Yep. I said, okay, here's what we do. I said, you got $100? He says, yeah, what? I said, I want you to put a sign up in the kitchen. The waitress or waiter who sells the most desserts this month will win $100. How's that going to improve it? Do what I tell you. I said, I just did a big study with Harvard Business School for my own salespeople at the radio station. Do you know what motivates people the most? Money. Put up $100. Just do it. Humor me. He did. They sold more dessert. And he says, the thing that's beautiful, that would add $4 or $5 to the, and now if there's a husband and wife, or there's a table for 4, that's $20.
Yeah.
And he says, and what the kids suddenly start to realize, that increased their tip. And he said, he ran that contest for years. He wouldn't stop it. He said it was the best thing he's ever done. Mm. He says, that $100 used to generate 4,000 or 5,000 every month.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because the kid would say, would you like dessert, sir? We have delicious apple pie. Tonight we have apple crisp, or whatever it was. And they started to sell it.
And they're good. They were good. Oh. They used to bring that stuff up to the Big E. The chowder, the pies and stuff. And do Orlando, at the Massachusetts Day or whatever they called it or something. And do great. And I didn't have to get it, but I still got it there.
Oh, I know. It was wonderful. Well, let me talk to you. I see today that Marvelous Mitch. Do you remember Mal's? Remember Mal's department
Marvelous
store?
Mal's.
Marvelous Mal, your dollar pal.
Yeah.
We got Marvelous Mitch, your dollar's pal. Okay, except when it's for him. Now, he and the former president aren't getting along today. He came out and made a speech, even though he voted to acquit, made a speech and blamed Trump for the mess. And Donald answered him today and called him a dour old fool and really hammered him. So now Lindsey Graham's caught in the middle because Lindsey is for Trump, but he's got to be careful because of Mitch. So he's dancing like an Irish step dancer, trying to dance around. I think the Republican Party has just split themselves wide open. And I am surprised because that could really cost them.
Well, what could it cost?
Well, it could cost them. Democrats pick up 3 or 4 more seats in the Senate and a couple of more in the House, and for another 2 years they control everything, and that means Mitch, who's already beside himself and blames Trump because he's out as majority leader because he loves the power, and I just think it's open warfare. They're not even hiding it.
My feeling on the matter is, for the Republicans, years and years and years ago, the Republicans were out of power. And one Republican leader said, there's nothing wrong with the Republican Party that 10% inflation won't cure. When they're out of power, if your enemy makes a mistake, great, it's good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, inflation is roaring. It's roaring back. They claim it isn't because the way they measure the CPI leaves out a lot of things that average people buy. So there's nothing wrong with the stupid Republican Party that a healthy dose of inflation won't cure. And it might even transcend Mitch McConnell, who is only not hated in light of Trump. I mean, every Democrat in the country hates him, and understandably so. But they're arguing basically about the corpse that's the Republican Party. I don't know if you ever hear about know who H.P. Lovecraft was, the famous author. He wrote very horror genre articles, and a lot of them were about reanimation, or some of them were about reanimation, bringing a corpse back to life.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is the Republican Party a corpse? Now, I would say there's a core of people who like Trump. So if I were a Republican, I don't really want Trump running for anything, but I need his people.
Oh, yeah.
So McConnell, I don't think. How do you get to be head of the Senate? Well, look at the cadaver that he looks like, McConnell.
Well, how you get there is you stay there long enough.
Seniority.
Your seniority.
Yeah, if you can
And he's
get-
going to be 84 when his term's up.
and he's probably
He's not going to run again.
I should hope he doesn't. But what's he fighting over? What I'd like to know what you think he's fighting over.
Well, I just think he, like a lot of once you have the power, quote unquote, you hate to give it up. And I think, and you see, most politicians that I'm familiar with, some very dear friends of mine, the toughest thing for a politician to do is to admit that they're wrong. Toughest thing to do.
Yeah, well, I have never heard one actually do that. I mean, I probably have heard one, but it's so rare.
Rare. So that's the toughest thing for them to say to yourself, geez, I made a mistake. What a stupid thing I did. Can't do it. So, having said that to you, the way I'm looking at this is, and now you got Lindsey Graham, and you know what Lindsey wants to be? The majority leader.
McConnell. He wants to be, yeah.
He's positioning for McConnell's job, and he wants McConnell out of there. And he's making no bones about it.
Yes. And he was able to outweigh McCain and have McCain die.
Yeah.
So everything seems to be working
right
out.
in place for him. And he's young enough.
Yeah.
He's got it made.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he has hooked his wagon or his trailer hitch to Dandy Don and said, I'm going to stick with this guy because right now he's the in guy. Like it or not, he's got $270 million and he's not willing and he's not afraid to spend it, and he'll oppose anybody who steps on his toes. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. So to Lindsey's position, I give him credit. That's what he's looking at. And he could care less about. If he throws McConnell under the bus, so what? Good luck. And so, but I'm talking about from a unification or from a, who are they going to attract? Well, they're going to get the Trumps. Because if Trump stays with them and doesn't break off, like he's threatened to do, if he stays there, he's going to bring 70 million people with him.
Yeah.
Or a good amount of that might. I don't know if they get all of them. Now, there's about 25 or 30% of Republicans who've already changed their registration to independent.
I've heard of that. I'm not exactly.
And if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. But you know what you are? You're always what you are. Yeah. So you may put an I down, but you're really an R or a D. Okay? You do it for whatever reason. So probably out of the 30, let's say there is 30,000. Out of that 30,000, probably 15 of them just did it to save some face at this point. But they're still Republicans. They'll vote Republican. They're not leaving the party. So, but and I'm talking politically from my standpoint, that's usually stuff you keep in the back of the room. You don't let that out in the open. You know what I'm saying? And it's open warfare. I mean, and of course the media is loving it. They're jumping all over it.
Yeah, because the media is in favor of the Democrats.
Oh,
there's no.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a big bit of news today?
What's that?
The big guy in talk radio passed away.
Oh, let me tell you a story about him.
We're talking about Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
I had a radio station up in Rutland, Vermont that I was running. We had an AM and an FM. The FM was 97.1, was the official ski station. We did a lot with Killington, separate entity. Now my AM went on the air, one of the first radio station in Vermont, WSYB it was called. In fact, Ken Coleman, the original voice of the Red Sox, got his first job up there.
Oh, wow.
Way back many years ago.
Wow.
Anyway, we had this AM station that was very successful. We ran it in town. We did local news, typical AM station. And when I bought it, they had a deal with Rush Limbaugh. They carried him, and they were paying him $1,000 a year. Well, I've never paid that much for anything in my life. never mind Rush Limbaugh. So I was not happy, but it was on, and I went out and got it sold. I had a local attorney who loved him, who sponsored the program. So I got my money. I was making money. I didn't care. Well, at the end of the year, I get a phone call from EIB, which is, Excellence in Broadcasting, His Honor, Rush Limbaugh. Calls up and he says, well, we've done so well for you. And I'm listening to the well for me. I did well for me. You didn't do well for me, but it's okay. He says, we did so well for you. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to increase your rates a little bit. Oh, really? He says, yeah, we're going up to $3,000 a year. No, you're not. He said, what do you mean I'm not? You're talking to Rush Limbaugh. I said, Rush, you don't get it. I'm not giving you $3,000. I'm paying you $1,000. That's what I'm going to pay you. Well, you can't do that to me. I said, well, I'm going to. I'm not going to pay you $3,000. He said, well, then what are you going to do? I said, I'll cancel the program before I'll pay you $3,000. You can't cancel my program. I'm Rush Limbaugh. I said, Rush, this radio station went on the air 1928. You weren't even born. And it did well. And it's done well all these years. And it continues to do well. He says, you can't cancel my program. I said, really? I said, today will be the last day I'll carry it. If you're going to insist I go to $3,000. You can't do that. I just did it. He said, well, you're a fool. And he starts giving me a bad time. Calls me everything Democrat. I was everything under the sun. And I said, Rush, look, you want to stay on the air? It's $1,000. You want to be off the air? It's $3,000. How do you want to handle this? Well, I want $3,000, or you're not. You can't carry my program. Good, we're done. Thank you. Calls me back. You got to talk. We got to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I've told you what I'm going to do. He says, well, you're making a huge mistake. No, I'm not. I just saved myself $2,000. That's not a mistake. I got a letter, nasty. I have it someplace. Send me this nasty letter. What a jerk I am, and you know how he talks. And but I took the program off the air, and the only person I angered was the lawyer. He was mad at me. I said, "Tell you what, you want him on?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Your rate is going from $100 a week to $500. That's what I got to, and I'm still not making a nickel. I got to give that to him."
Yeah.
Oh, well, heck with that. Thank you. He was fine. No Rush Limbaugh. And we got rid of him. That was 1988, 1989, 90, somewhere back in there. And I saw that today, and I said, you know, some guy put a line in there on Facebook. He saved AM radio. I could not let that pass. So I said, oh, no, he didn't. And I told that little story I just told to you on Facebook today. So I haven't checked it to see if I get any people beating me up over it. But, you know, but that's the end of Rush Limbaugh.
Well, I remember when I first heard him. He was pushing the first Gulf War. So why did we have to go to Iraq? You know, it was Margaret Thatcher said to George Bush, "Don't go wobbly, George. Will we pulling Maggie Thatcher's chestnuts out of the fire?
Yeah.
Why do we have to be?" And you know what? That was a stupid war. And Rush and rest his soul, Rush and all of them were wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, people would say to me, "Why? You know what Saddam Hussein did? Do you know what he did? What did he do to the average American citizen? What has he done to Joe Blow in Council Bluffs, Iowa?
Yeah.
What has he done? But he did this. Do we go to every country in the world that has a bad guy? So, you know, I mean, he probably wasn't a bad guy. He probably was nice to the puppy. I don't want to say.
You know, the funny part is, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, and it's true, because I've been there and I've done it in my life, is a lot of these fellas, it's about the ratings. It's about what gets them listeners. That's all it's about. It's about the money. It's like the guys, the baseball and football players who say, they're not respecting me. They don't care. Respect? It's about the money. Who are you kidding? They're not respecting you. You want 20 million, and they only want to give you 14 million, and you say they're not respecting you. No, they're not. It's about the money.
Of course.
You know, so it was all about the money. And so many of these people are actors. That's an act.
Oh, yeah.
They put that all on. They have writers and everything else to write a lot of their stuff, and they just want to blah, 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 and put on a show.
Of course.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
And people don't, they get all worked up over
But it's all entertainment. The news is entertainment. It's, you know,
It's all entertainment.
Yeah.
It's all,
we're the only people, you and I, who are telling it straight and are not acting.
well, I'm guilty.
Okay.
I'm an actor. You know.
What? See, is that honest or what?
Well, I do. I look at, if I can get people jumping up and down and motivated, I love, you know, if I can stick a little zing in there.
Not me. I'm Mr. Straight as an arrow.
Oh, okay. But the point I'm making is, look, you know what? It's, Facebook has, I guess they bring memories back every once in a while. Well, this week or last week, they brought back a memory that my dear wife put on. She found a picture of John Volpe swearing me in as Commissioner of Highway Safety, 1963. And I grew up in Malden, and I knew the governor. My dad was a friend of his. Calls me up one day at the radio. I'm up in Ware. Phone rings, and my girl comes in. Dick, Governor Volpe's on the phone for you. Oh, good. Hi, Governor. Hi, Dick. How you doing? Good. Hey, Dick, I need a favor. What do you need, Governor? I got to appoint a Democrat or something. Will you be my Commissioner of Highway Safety? I said, sure. No problem. So I go down and get sworn in, and there's a picture of my two little kids. I think they were maybe 8 and 6, little bow ties on with the governor, you know. So somebody put it on. My wife put it on. Well, all of a sudden, all these people coming out. I didn't know that. You know, you've really done all kinds of things, and it was fun, and so, but I mean, I wrote the first drunk driving law. It was a .10 for John Volpe. He was a guy ahead of his time. He put in the sales tax.
Yeah, that's really. I'm really glad he did that.
That was a good one, yeah. and then he put in the seatbelt safety law, and I remember he calls me up one day. He wanted me to debate Jerry. Remember Jerry Williams?
I could not forget you.
Jerry Williams hated that thing, so I finally said to Governor Volpe, "I'll do it." And so I went on with Jerry Williams. I had him so mad, he was going to shut me my mic off if I said another word. Said that to me, because he kept saying, "You don't understand." I said, "Jerry, why do we need a driver's license? You can drive, can't you? Can you drive a car? What do you need a license for? Why do you need a registration plate? It's your car. Why do you have to have it registered? You're right. Let's get rid of all that stuff." "Well, you can't do that." "What do you mean you can't?" "Well, what if you got in an accident? You have no way of knowing who it was." "Well, what's the what? You got insurance, haven't you?" You know, and he got so mad at me because he didn't have an answer. When you think about it, he wanted to say, "You can't make me wear a seatbelt in a car. Who are you to make me do that?" I said, "Well, then why do you need a license? Can you drive? You know, those are $50 a year. That's a ripoff. You don't need a license. Drive."
Now I would have said, "Dick, you're right. We'll get rid of it all."
Well, he did. He was all upset, and I get off the air, and I get home, and tell me, Volpe wants you to call him. So I called him up, and he's laughing. He says, "You were sensational." He says, "You were fabulous." He says, "You had him so mad." He said he almost died on the. And see, the thing that we found out was when the law passed, we had about a 20% usage in Massachusetts before the law passed. Remember the old ones that automatically came around? We had about a 20% usage. When the law passed, it went to 72%, because there were people out there who, even though they didn't want the law, even though they hated it, they were law-abiding citizens. And they will abide by the law, even though they don't want to. It was profound. The usage that skyrocketed once we got that thing passed. But I remember, and I said there, sometimes those laws, when you put them in, are very, very controversial. Drunk driving law was hugely controversial. We had a .10, now it's an .08, but it was a 10 then. And then when we put the seatbelt law in, terribly controversial. But as time wore on, we've saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
We have.
It's been one of the best things that ever happened, you know.
We have.
And so, but at the time, it was not a popular thing. And so there's many times when legislation like that will be very unpopular, but in reality, as time moves on, becomes a godsend.
That is true. And the seatbelt, I agree with you. The seatbelt is one of those.
One of those things that,
Yeah.
in the ultimate end, was well worth all that we went through to get it, you know, and the grief you took. But it was funny back then. Oh, the arguments were.
They were.
Oh, people, and Jerry Williams was jumping up and down. And he's another guy that's a good guy.
Yeah.
We got off the air and he gave me a hug. He said, shakes my hand. He says, you're tough, pal. You ought to have your own show. I says, I'm all set.
He was a funny guy.
He was.
He was.
I always liked Jerry. He was a good guy.
I was an 8-year-old kid when he went on the air.
Yeah, people would say to me.
I had to sneak to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because it was like,
People would say to me, you know, how could you? I said, we got off the air. The guy shakes my hand, gives me a hug, said, you were good. He said, that was a great program. He says, you had me furious. He said, I was ready to kill you. He says, but he says, you know what? He says, it was a good program, because that's what he cared about.
Yeah.
How did the program go over?
Oh, yeah.
It was a great program, because somebody stood up. He said to me, you stood up to me. Most people come in here and they back right down. The minute I go, rah, 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 they back right down. You know, and he says, you came right back at me. And he said, you caught me off guard, because I don't expect it. You know?
Great job.
You know, and so, but he was a good guy.
He was.
You know, and
He had everybody on it.
immense audience.
Yeah.
Immense audience. He was really good. He was a good guy, and some great broadcasters back then. They really were. So, you know, things seem to have settled down a little bit, except our Republican friends. We'll have to see how that all plays out. And
I think it'll make them. Usually, a certain amount of dissent can make you stronger.
oh,
So
I'm looking at the in-play with Lindsay and Mitch.
what bothers me is an army of occupation in the Capitol.
Oh,
They should get. They have. There's no reason for that. They're basically saying we don't trust. They claim to be the People's Party, the Democrats, but they're basically saying we do not trust our countrymen and women,
no.
and that's disgusting. The press lied about that police officer.
Yeah.
He didn't die of a thing, but they won't tell who shot that woman.
No.
This is a mess. The Democrats better watch it because they have their problems.
Oh, no question. You know, that's, you know, and one of the things we find out is even with the new commissioner in Boston, that a lot of these police officers, they got a little background that they cover up and slide under the rug. I mean, the Globe is really after them. The Boston police, really after them.
I'm wondering, they said this guy is moving to North Carolina, the guy who just left.
Yeah.
Or he was going to run for mayor.
Yeah.
What's the skeleton in his closet?
He got out quick.
Yeah.
My question now, first thing I ask myself, Gross must have got his hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah, he's not the retirement age.
And he got out of there.
Yeah.
And he got out quick with 3 days' notice.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't hang around long.
Oh, he's going to run for mayor.
No,
He's out there. It's North Carolina, fishing.
My family.
Yeah.
I'm going south.
Yeah.
I got a place
I
down
would
there.
too, especially after this winter. Get out of here.
Yep. So, there's the Globe is really after them, though, really watching them. And, but it's amazing how, and that's the sad part, that they protect each other through thick and thin.
Collegiality. It's the doctors do it, not your doctor, of course, not my doctor.
No.
The only people who are honest about this are you and I.
Oh, that's right. No question. All right, Richard, thanks once again. Another
Thank you.
Conversations with.
It was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good program. There you are, folks. Thanks for watching.